Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of From Page to Stage. I'm your host, Wendy Corner, and this podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneur. Yes, you heard me right, an entrepreneur, page and stage. You may not have thought of it this way, but tell me, if you may have a solo book out, you may have an anthology book out, you may have a blog, but you're definitely going to have socials, aren't you? And what's that if it's not published work? Ha! You're an author, whether you knew it or not. But what about this stage business then? Do you go to networking meetings? That's a stage. Do you have conversations with people? That's a stage. If you can do a one-on-one, you can do a podcast, as well as things like virtual summits and the old traditional platform, live stage. So welcome to From Page to Stage. You're in the right place. Now, today I have the joy and pleasure of introducing you to Vivian Campbell. Now, Vivian and I have known each other only a short period of time. So rather than me explain a bit about this lovely lady, I'm going to let her introduce herself because she knows herself far better than I do. So Vivian, I'm going to handball this one to you. Give us a bit of a clue. Who are you and how did you get to this stage in life? Cliff notes. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. I love that introduction. You are so right. There are so many different stages. And I bet you dimes to donuts, people didn't realize that they've probably been on a stage, whether they realized it or not.
Exactly.
That was awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
hello, everyone. I am Vivian Campbell. I am a business consultant, author, speaker, and trainer. And I am so happy to be here to speak with Wendy and talk a little bit about what I do and a couple of books that I've written. I'm so excited.
Beautiful. So I want to take you back in time, Vivian. When did you start writing? Not necessarily about your present day beautiful books, which we're going to have a quick flash of in a minute, but go back in time, because some of the guests that I've been talking to have started writing when they were 4, had a screenplay by the time they were 8, and done amazing things like that. Not everybody has. Some people started, well, I started writing when I wrote this book. So I'm curious, tell us about your writing journey.
That is a great question. If I think about it, I think I probably started writing in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was an American literature class. And first of all, I love reading. And when I say I love reading with a book in my hands where I can turn the page. Yes. I don't know if that makes me an old school type of reader, but I love holding a book.
Yeah.
Yes, and turning the page. Love it. And I believe I was reading, and then I part of the assignment was to write a poem, and I started writing and I thought, ooh, this is really cool. You know, I didn't really think I was creative, but the words just started flowing. And I thought, oh my goodness, I do have a little bit of creativity in me. And I loved it. And I would just write poems in the beginning. I didn't write the book until much later in my professional life. But I truly enjoyed writing poems and reading poems and trying to figure out how to make them rhyme, because I love rhyming poems.
Have you published any of your poetry?
No, I haven't. I've only books for business, but that's a good idea. I'll have to put that one on my list.
Can you still find all those poems? Still got them?
I would have to look. They're in storage, but I do have it. I love to keep all of my books of notes. So yes, I know I have it, but it's in storage.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Somewhere.
Love it. Because that's the thing, you see, when you delve back into the guests that I've been speaking to, some of them get, oh yes, I wrote poetry as a child. You Still got them. Oh, somewhere. Yes. See, what I probably ought to do is go back over all the guests that I've had who said they did poetry as a child and go, right, nominate one of your poems and I'll do an anthology of everybody's poetry.
That would be a great idea. And it would bring back so many memories from our childhood.
Yeah, there's an
Mhm.
idea. I've literally just thought of that as I'm speaking to you.
I
Note,
love it.
this
We're
is
being
recorded.
creative right now.
This is recorded, so this is very definitely of the moment. Vivian, that's an exclusive to you. I will write that down as soon as we're done. Okay, so you started off when you were going through high school with the American
Yes.
literature. What prompted you to start writing your business books? Let's take it fast forward to what prompted these.
Sure. So I started training first.
Mm-hmm.
And when you train, as you know, you get in a new set of people and you train and train over and over and over again. And as you train, you're repeating everything over and over again. And I have no problem repeating it because I have a new group of people and I'm sharing knowledge with them. So that's totally okay. As a matter of fact, I absolutely love it. But I thought, wow, I'm saying the same thing over and over again. Why don't I just write this down, right? Why don't I put this in book form so that many more people have access to it rather than ones that are just in front of me in a workshop or a class when I get called in to a company. And so that's why I decided to write the book for business.
Excellent. But because also then if it's kind of like the same training material, then the people who've been on the course can take it away as well for future reference.
Absolutely. And you know how it is. We read a lot of things, right? But then we forget. And that's why some of us go back and we read our favorite book again, right? Or we read something that will give us knowledge and help us, but we forget. Life happens, things come up, but then we want to go back and read. So I love keeping all of my books. I remember when I moved, the movers had made a comment to one of my friends, why does she have so many books? Right? Because I'm sure that those were the heavier boxes.
Yes.
But I love keeping my books. I absolutely love them.
Because I mean, the point you make, you're right. When you go back and read them again, you're in a different place than the time you read them before. So
Absolutely.
as you reread them, you're going to pick up something different each time you go back to it.
Very, very true. Very true. And such a good point. And that's with one of our books that we're reading for pure entertainment, right? We're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I missed that the first time I read it, right? And then also with a book that's actually an instructional book or educational book, the same thing is true. Yes. I didn't understand that. That's right. This is a great tip. Let me go and, execute this next time I'm with my team or at work. So having the books and keeping them and rereading them is very beneficial.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as you said, yes, you can do it for the fiction and the pleasure books, but also those instructional ones, because I had that concept before. That wasn't quite making sense. Oh, light bulb moment. I've got it now. Yeah. Beautiful. And as you said, you then go and put it into practice. And that's the thing, isn't it? Because you can read and read and read and read and read, and shelf development just creates heavy bookshelves. But it's only as you apply that it becomes the wisdom that you can now go, right, I've got something out of that. Let's go and apply it. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, you mentioned you got 2 books.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Let's have a look.
Okay, so my first book is 101 Ways to Stop Losing Your Customers. It's all about delivering 5-star service at any level. And this book, a lot of times I'll speak with people and we talk about, hey, did you go to a restaurant? Did you stay at a hotel? Did you go shopping? How was your experience? I love to talk to people and hear about their different experiences.
Mm.
And, you know, they run the gamut, right? Oh, the service was awful. I can't believe our server did this, right? And a lot of those are in the book. So the book is made up of 101 scenarios of things that went wrong.
Okay.
And then I rate them. And then I tell you what should have happened instead. So
Right.
I could probably write like 5 more books just
Exactly.
on that.
Yeah.
But that's a great book.
Is it
All about,
before you go on
yeah,
from there?
yes. Mhm.
Are they all hospitality based?
Uh, that book is
Yes.
it's hotels, restaurants, and retail,
Right.
right? And believe it or not, there's hospitality in everything that we do, right? Even um, if you're going, if you call a credit card company, right? They should be hospitable when they answer the phone to assist you with whatever you need. So,
Yeah.
hospitality really is throughout all industries, but a lot of people don't think that. They think it's only in a hotel or in a restaurant,
Mm.
and that's certainly not true. Hospitality should be everywhere.
Just as we blew the lid off being an author earlier on, you've just
Mhm.
blown the lid off hospitality. I love it. We're
I love
breaking
that.
ground today.
I love that. That was such a great tie-in. You're absolutely right. And
Yeah.
you were so lovely and hospitable inviting me here, right? There's hospitality in everything that we do. So the book just covers those 3 areas, but you're absolutely right. It's everywhere.
And the thing is, if you ask somebody how their experience was, 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you what went wrong before they'll
Yes,
tell you what went right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you want to hear something funny?
Go on.
Um, I was training at one restaurant. And I asked the owner, I said, is it in the budget? Can we give all of the employees $20? And I'd love to have them go somewhere and sit and have a drink or have an appetizer or go towards their meal, right? We know $20 may not pay for everything that they want. And he said, sure, why do you want to do that? And I said, just watch. So we gave them all $20. We told them they had to come back with the receipt to prove that they went to an actual place.
Mhm.
And then we asked them, so how was the experience? Tell me everything. How was it from when you first walked in the door? How long did it take someone to greet you, someone to seat you? And they got to see it from a different perspective.
Yes.
And they thought about it and they're like, oh, you're right. When someone comes in here at the restaurant, we need to be on it. And it gave them a different perspective on how to treat someone because now we actually have them pay attention to how they were treated when they went somewhere else. It was a great exercise.
Wonderful. I've just gone goosey at the thought of it. Oh, yes. I mean, I forgive me, I'm going to give you an example of something I did with from my past experience.
Okay.
Audience, you may or may not know that I have a background in speech pathology, working with adults with intellectual disability with or without autism.
Wonderful.
One of the staff teams that I was working with, we were talking about working with people who use wheelchairs. And so what I would do is one of the staff members would be positioned as the client in the wheelchair, and one of the others would come up behind them without introducing who they were and just start wheeling them off. And the person in the wheelchair said, hey, hang on, who is it? Where are we going?
Mhm.
Yeah, how does that feel? Ping, ping, light bulbs going off right, left, and center. It's only
Yes.
as we experience it for ourselves that we have some conception of the impact that we are making on other people. I love that idea. I really do.
Absolutely. I love this. I love the tie back. That is perfect.
Yeah,
Mhm.
beautiful. So that was your first book.
Yes.
And that came out when?
That was back in 2019. I believe that.
2019. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
BC, as I call it, before COVID. And then tell us about the second one. When did that come out?
So this one came out earlier this year. And
Oh,
I know, I'm super excited. It's How to Lead Effectively, 20 Ways to Building Stronger Teams.
right.
And I'll tell you why I wrote this book. Have you noticed that many employees get promoted into management and they're trained on, okay, these are your new reports, these are your new goals, these are your new meetings, and you have to do this, 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 and this. And then they say, and oh, by the way, we just gave you 20 people you need to manage. And so these employees have no idea how to manage people.
Mm-hmm.
To learn about leadership, communication, time management, conflict resolution, and the list goes on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And I get called in because there's a problem in a company. And I have to tell you, 9 times out of 10, and I mean that, 9 times out of 10, it has to do with communication or a process, a standard operating procedure, call it
Mm-hmm.
SOP. And the SOP is only because there was bad communication. So it's really about the communication. And so again, going in and training over and over and over again, I said, what if I just put a book together of 20 things
Mm-hmm.
that they could learn to help them excel and
Mm.
a strong, effective, and productive team? So
Yeah. So that way, I mean, that I love the fact that we've got it in book form, and picking up on the point we did just now, the experience as well is so powerful. So are you finding that that book is maybe being bought by management and then having read it going, oh, we need this woman in to actually do the training with the people, so the down, because it's all good and well reading it out of a book, but as we've just explained, if you experience it, oh boy, does it sink in a bit better. Yeah.
that you actually get it. And, you know, while I did put an exercise in after every single task, every single skill set,
Mhm.
a lot of times people read it and they reread it. And, you know, we do that with instructions when we're putting together furniture, right? We read it like 50 million times and we're like, oh, it says screw this in, right? We read it so many times before we do something simple. Well, when we're asking you to do an actual leadership exercise,
Yeah.
they can read it a lot of times, but it would help to just bring me in and have me facilitate it for you. So, but it's all there for them so that they can do on their own, right?
Yeah.
I'm here to be helpful.
Yeah.
You don't have to call me in. If you want to call me in to come and help, I'm happy to do it, but I put everything in the book so that they can do it themselves.
And again, it's one of those, if you have had Vivian in to train your team, guys, you've got it in the book as a backup.
Exactly.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Mm.
You know, we all know in companies, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs, small, medium-sized, you know, business owners, large business owners, people come and people go. And there's a big misconception, I feel, on training. They feel like, okay, we'll come in or we'll call Vivian in and she'll train one time and we're good to go. It's like, no, that's not how training works. Hopefully, your leaders are continuing this on and on and on. You might want me to come back every quarter or maybe twice a year, but people leave the company and new people come in,
Yeah.
and they need to be trained.
Yes.
Right?
And it's that dance of all the different characters within a team.
I love the way you said that. It's
Certainly
like
changes.
it's spoken like a true author. But you're right. We tell them all the time, you know, there's different personalities, but I love the way you said characters. Very nice. I'm going to start using that.
Well, it's neutral.
Yes.
Some of the
Yes.
characters are easier to work with than others. But it's
Very
understanding
true.
that dance. And as we were saying, in terms of when you're training, when you're facilitating, I have no doubt whatsoever that you have done your research first, and you gauged the characters in the room so that the examples that you give are relevant to them. Even if they're not the exact examples in the book, there'll be enough overlap when they get, oh yeah, I remember, yes, I remember when she did that. Jing, so-and-so was a bit of an arse when that one went, a character.
Yes.
How did she get us to work out? Yep, that's it. And it'll take you back to those specific examples. But you're right, then managing the team in front of you can be different from the non-specific generic team in a book. Yeah.
Absolutely. So true. And all of my training, and even when I speak, it's always customized, right? Of course, there's a base. I like to say 75% of it will work for everyone, but it's the 25% that's the flavor, the customization that really ties it in for the group, right? And so I like to do that when I train and also when I speak. I always want to know what's going on. Who do I need to speak to? How are those characters acting? Right? So that I can speak to specifics.
Yes, yes, exactly. I mean, the analogy I use is in terms of your base is your ice cream, and it's what you put on the top that is different for each individual staff team.
I like that. Very true.
I love ice cream, so that's why I use that one. So forgive me if you're not an ice cream fan. But yeah, the general basis of it, and I'm sorry, it's not going to be vanilla as far as I'm concerned, but it's the sprinkles on the top that are going to be the difference between how you present it to each individual team. Yeah.
Correct. Love the analogy. Ice cream sounds yummy. Thank you for bringing that up.
That's okay. Just sort of, it's still Northern Hemisphere end of summer, so we've still got a bit of mileage there left.
Oh, absolutely. It's been toasty out here. So some ice cream sounds good. Yes, it's been so hot. I think today is our first day of cooling off right now.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Los Angeles, California. And while we're always sunny and beautiful, it's been like over 100 degrees. And I was born and raised here and absolutely love it here. But we're in the hundreds more than we were before, right?
And you've had some fires, haven't you?
Not yet.
Okay. I was reading one of my friends who I thought was in California having fires behind him.
Up north? Was it up north?
It could well be, yes.
It could have been north of where I am here.
Okay.
But yeah, so some ice cream does sound like a great idea.
Yeah. I had one yesterday. Pistachio.
Ooh, yum.
Sorry, I'm completely going off the point here. Anyway.
That is totally okay. That sounds great.
Let's get back to what we were talking about, page and stage. So we've got the two books out now. So so we've now got your page bit. Now, obviously, your stage bit, your zone of genius is in the facilitation and the training.
Yes. Yes.
Keynoting goes in there as well?
Absolutely. So I will get called in. I work a lot in the hospitality industry, which I love. And so I'll get called in for an annual sales conference, and I'll come in and I'll speak on the importance of customer service, which is so important in the hotel industry, right? Really taking care of the customer and putting the customer first. So I do speak in front of groups. I'll speak in front of associations. I'll really speak in front of anyone. But
it's a different skill set though, isn't it? It's complementary, but it's different to your facilitation work.
You know what it is? I have the gift of gab, and I love being in front of a group, but even more important, I love sharing information, and I love seeing on their faces, yes, I love seeing that, right? And so I can tell that I'm being helpful to them. That's what's most important to me. And you want to hear something new that I've embarked on most recently, like just within the past 2 weeks?
Exclusive? Yay, yay.
Yes. So, I shared with you how employees get promoted, but they don't have
Yes,
the skill
yes,
set,
yes.
right? So I decided, what if we took this earlier? What if we went to high school students and students in college,
Mhm.
right? Have you noticed that students graduates, I should say, entering the workforce, they have strong academic skills, but they lack practical skills, leadership, communication, teamwork, mindset. And so I tailor talks just for them to
Mm.
get them ready so that they're not just prepared to enter the job force, but they're going to excel on day one.
Mm.
And so it's taking the same skills that I teach professionals who are already in their roles
Yeah.
to people who are about to enter the job force.
Mm.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. So now speaking to students, and I think it's great.
Excellent, excellent. So now all of the stuff that you've spoken about so far has all been physical in person.
Yes. Mhm.
This podcast goes globally. We've mentioned that you're in California. Do you
Yes.
do virtual work? How can our audience link in with you if they're not in California?
Oh, so they can absolutely reach me at viviancampbellconsulting.com.
Mhm.
And I have a passport and will travel. I
Do you do virtual work
absolutely.
as well?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love um, moving around on stage, moving in and out through the audience. So I absolutely love being live. I understand that, there were some good things that happened from the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
We learned that we can do a lot of wonderful things virtually, right?
Mhm.
And so if people love to do that, I am more than happy to do that. But I also love to travel because then I can check out the customer service from the airlines. So I love that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I was on a flight recently from Kuala Lumpur back to Melbourne.
Okay, and how was it?
Well,
Oh,
they had for one thing changed the flight. They had originally put me on a flight a day later, and I said, no, 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 no. I have to go back for a course. You will need to put me a day earlier.
mm,
Without telling us, it wasn't then a straight through.
oh,
They introduced
communication.
exactly they introduced a layover. We were not actually allowed off the flight. We had to stay on the aeroplane. There were all sorts of issues. I have dietary requirements, and they could not feed me. So I
Oh,
just sort of went, I'm sorry, I have to get off. I need to eat. You
of
cannot
course.
feed me. And so I got a bit stroppy and was allowed off. And then they didn't want to let me back on the plane with a litre of water. And I said, I'm sorry, just watch me. Then, of course, you got the ubiquitous survey came back afterwards, and I'm thinking, you're not going to want to hear this. However, and I stated that it wasn't only myself, there were a number of people who were on that flight who were moaning really badly because we had to
Mhm.
stay on the flight. So,
Right.
and it was a couple of hours too, that in theory we had to stay on the plane. In the meantime, they're cleaning the plane around us. And yeah, enough said.
Did they apologize?
No. So when the survey came out, I said, be prepared, and you will not only get this from me, you will get this from other people. The main issue was you didn't talk to us. That's
Communication.
so much of it's down to communication, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
how about just a simple apology?
Yes.
And then how about getting creative on what can I do?
Yes.
What do you need and what can I do?
Yeah.
Yes, the airline industry is on my list. I would love to go in and do customer service training with the
Yeah.
different airlines. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. I believe everyone should be treated well. I
Yeah.
believe that when you go into any establishment and you spend money, of course, there should be value in the product, but
Yes.
also in the service.
Absolutely.
And that's part of it, right? There are too many places out there. You can go somewhere else most of the time.
Mm.
But I do believe that everyone deserves great service and to be cared for.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt really sorry for the air crew because they were getting lambasted and they're getting,
Mhm.
sorry,
Mhm.
it's not down to us, but let me see if I can speak to somebody in ground crew. And they were being the best they possibly could, but
That's good.
it was further up that
Yes.
communication had not been. And the fact that, as I said, when we got to the airport, hang on a minute, that flight number is not going to Melbourne. It's going somewhere else.
Oh my goodness.
And
How
then
does that happen?
I know. And then when we're on the plane the second time round, the pilot does his usual welcome aboard and says we're on such and such a flight to Brisbane. And we go, no, we're going to Melbourne. You better be taking us
Want
to
to start
Melbourne.
dinging?
They said it twice. And so you could hear this ripple going round the plane, which was full by this point. And so then he came back in about 5 minutes later and said, I think I might have got you all a bit worried. We are going to Melbourne, honestly. Brisbane is my next flight after here. He had
My
a new sense of
goodness.
humour and he was able to bring us back round because I think I
Good
might
for
have got you a
him.
bit worried there, didn't I?
Hilarious.
So he brought it round. But that's the point, as you said. I mean, what customer service is so important, so important. And that's what we remember. We remember not necessarily about the product, but as Maya Angelou said, we forget what people have said, we forget what people have done, but we never forget the way people made us feel.
Absolutely. And that's why it is so important and truly in any industry. It
Yes.
is not just in a hotel. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people just have that association, hospitality, hotel.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it's there, but it's everywhere else. It's in a
Yes.
lot of other businesses. And
Yeah.
so, with all entrepreneurs, make sure you're delivering great customer service and
Yes.
your business will grow because people will talk about your business by word of mouth when they have an amazing experience. But as you mentioned earlier, Wendy, when they have a bad experience, they'll talk about that as well. So,
Yes.
mhm.
Exactly. If you think about it, more people will share on socials when they've had a bad experience than when they've had a
Yes.
good.
Mhm.
They might tell a few people by word of mouth if they've had a good experience, but you can guarantee if there's been a bad experience, poof, the whole world knows about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that happens, but that is very
Mm.
much true.
Yeah. True.
Yes.
Okay. So we've talked about your speaker journey and your writing journey
Mhm.
and the fact that your book came out last month being, what was the date it got published?
Don't even remember. Is that terrible?
July, August.
It was, I think it was like July 19th or something like that.
Okay, so that's July
Yes.
19th,
Yes.
2024. Just that people will be
Yes.
watching this at all sorts of times.
2024. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And they're both on Amazon. So they're easy to find under Vivian Campbell. Yes. Mhm.
Audience, this is where you look at the show notes. Okay, because all the links to how to get hold of Vivian, how to look at her books, her author page on Amazon will be there. So you can check out both those books.
Yes.
And then the other thing to let you know, if you don't know about my podcast before, these show notes are dynamic. So when I get a guest in, we've had a chat, we've got the show notes up. When they get hold of me and go, oh, Wendy, I've got a new program out. I've got a new book coming out. I say, great, let me go back, change the show notes, give me the link, it gets updated. And then I do a quick social blast. Do you remember that fabulous conversation I had with Vivian? Well, do you know what? She's got something else out. Go back and check it.
Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. Now, I just want to say that's an example, a prime example of great customer service.
Thank you. Thank
Just
you.
saying, that is.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, it also means then that if I get told there's a new book coming out again, right, hang on a minute, let's get you booked in and have a conversation about that one too. Because the point is, and again, from this perspective, audience, I'm going to pop in a quick one. If you've got something you know is coming out, you've got a date for your publication, or you've got a new program or something, have that date in mind and then reverse engineer. Who needs to know about this?
Right.
Where are the podcasts that your audience listens to? And if they're into some really big famous people, don't dismiss that. Put yourself in front of them, but be aware that there will be a time lag. Don't expect to record one day and have it published the next. Okay.
Very true.
So
Be
factor
prepared.
that in. Just as when you're traveling, you've got to think ahead of time. Is my passport got 6 months or more on it? Do I have the required visas? Etc. etc. That's what you're going to be doing with your outlet, your publication. Because the other thing is, we mentioned about those socials, start seeding it right from the get-go. How excited you are that you've made this decision, you're going to be writing this book. This is the title. As soon as you have the book cover, share it.
Absolutely. You are so right. Amazing information. I love this, the sharing of information to help people. It's fantastic.
The point of a podcast. Absolutely. Okay. So we've looked at
Okay.
This is the book that you're promoting at the moment, which is your 20 leadership tips, isn't it? What was the title again?
Yes. How to lead effectively.
How to lead effectively.
20 ways to build stronger teams.
I knew there was 20 in there somewhere. 20 fabulous tips.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
So forgive me, audience, I haven't got hold of it yet, but will be on the list.
Okay.
So this is what you've been working on at the moment. I'm going to take you back to your facilitation work, your training work. How do you embody your words when you take them from page to stage? Might be from your keynoting. What's the process you go through?
Sure. So when I have the opportunity to speak, I always keep a few principles in mind. The first one is my words should be helpful in some way. That can be educational, it could be inspirational, motivational, and hopefully it's all three, right? The other thing I like to do is I always keep in mind, I understand that we all receive information in different ways. And so for those who are auditory learners, I make sure that I speak clearly and I maintain an appropriate tone and pace myself correctly.
Yeah.
Lastly, for those who are visual learners, it's important to paint a vivid picture with my words so I can enable them to see what I'm saying. So those are the things that I try and bring with me every time I'm speaking to a group of people.
Yeah, it's those, I'm going to get a bit technical, the NLP predicates. So that the visual things, you paint a picture, the auditory things, does that resonate with you? The kinesthetic ones, can you grasp that? Have you got the feel for that? And then the thinky people, does that make sense? Then you got all 4 learning styles on board with you. Definitely. Yeah, that's really important.
Absolutely.
And again, when you're giving your experiential opportunities for people to feel into it, visualize it, see it, and hear it, it's all in together, isn't it?
Yes, it
you combine
is.
them all beautifully. Yeah. Okay.
And I think you can see it on people's faces in the audience, and you're like, yeah, they got it. And they're nodding, yes. They're smiling. You can see it on their face, and I absolutely love that.
Or not. Okay, that one didn't land. Right, let's try it a slightly different way.
Right.
Yeah. definitely.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love an audience who is expressive. It's the deadpan ones that you go, oh, can't read you.
Right.
On that note, if you ever get invited to go to Japan,
Okay.
be aware that you will
Mhm.
not get eye contact. Everybody is head down. Because a friend of mine actually gave a keynote in Japan, and he
Okay.
thought he'd bombed. He really thought he'd bombed. And he spoke to the event manager and said, what happened? I got no response at all. And the guy went, they were hanging on your every word. I said, how do I know? They were giving you real respect. It was head down, I'm listening, I'm focused, I'm in respect for you. And at the end, everyone heads up.
Oh,
But that's a
that
cultural thing.
a cultural thing. That is wonderful to learn and know. And I'm sure as you travel all around the world, and when I speak and train, I do my homework on the company, and I'm sure you do your homework as well before
Yes,
we go
exactly.
somewhere. So good to know. So thank you for sharing that. And I will put that on my bucket list to speak in
Go and speak in
Japan
Japan. Yeah.
and be prepared for everyone
Yes,
in this
exactly.
position. Yes,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. It's those cultural things that can knock you off, particularly when we are used to speaking to people who are functioning in a Western way. I was based in Malaysia for 4 months, and
Mhm.
very often, I mean, if you're speaking English anyway, most people are functioning in a Western way, but you will still very often have the men separate from the women.
Mhm.
And there will be times when particularly the men will not look at you, because that's not expected for a man to give eye contact to a woman. So there are all these little subtle nuances depending on the racial group that you're talking about. So yeah, it's worth knowing the cultural
The
norms.
cultural difference. Yes. Ah, so true. Very, very true.
But as you say, you do your homework, whether it be the company, whether it be the culture, or
Mhm.
the culture.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
As,
Wonderful.
as we're winding up, Vivian, is there anything we've missed off? Anything you'd like to say to us that we haven't covered so far?
Um, no, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. And so I'm just having a great time with our conversation. But no, I think we've covered everything, and everyone will have information on how to get in touch with me. If I could be of service to you, please do reach out. And I'm happy to connect with you. And I will actually speak with you because I love talking with people. So. It
Beautiful,
would be
beautiful.
me.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Vivian. It's been a
Thank you.
joy and a pleasure to have this conversation with you, for you to share your from page to stage.
Been wonderful. Thank you again, Wendy. It
You're
was
very
my
welcome.
pleasure.
Great. From us, bye for now.